Mr. Muhammad, you are here to prove that you are the father of the defendant's 2-year-old daughter, Brooklyn.
He thought it was love. She called it convenience. But on this day, in Judge Lauren's courtroom, truth demanded the floor. Anwar Muhammad walked in with the calm fury of a man convinced his entire identity as a father was on trial. For 2 years, he had believed he was Brooklyn's dad, fed her, claimed her, watched her grow. He wasn't just hoping, he knew. The way she smiled, the way she poured cereal at one, the way her eyes lit up just like his. But now, all that could be ripped away by one test, one piece of paper sealed in an envelope Judge Lauren hadn't opened yet.
First of all, I would never let another man raise my child. I was always raised to do the right thing, always raised to be a stand-up gentleman. I know take care of all my children.
Across the aisle stood Miss Walton, chin high. She wasn't confused. She was certain Brooklyn didn't belong to Mr. Muhammad, not biologically. Her conception had occurred in a bed of lies and tangled sheets, but in her mind, the truth was clear. She had been with someone else, someone she wanted to be with. She remembered the hotel rooms, the lies told about being at work, and who she was sleeping with most often. The answer seemed obvious to her. Mr. Muhammad just refused to face it.
I was having more sexual intercourse with the other guy than Mr. Muhammad.
And you were having sex with this other guy behind his back, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So what was the nature of your relationship with
Mr. Muhammad swore they were in a relationship during Brooklyn's conception. She said no, they were just roommates co-parenting their first daughter. And while he claimed she had disguised the other man as her cousin, Walton denied it flatly. Both insisted the other was lying. Each played the victim. The audience gasped when Walton admitted she had an ongoing affair during that period. Even more stunning, she had claimed to Mr. Muhammad that her lover was family. That lie, he said, disarmed him completely. He had welcomed the man into their home without a second thought.
Her cousin.
That's not true, Your Honor. He's always known this guy.
I know.
Who was.
That's the other man that she wanted to be with.
So you're saying you were in a relationship?
In a relationship.
And you're saying you were not in a relationship when Brooklyn was conceived?
As Walton explained, she texted the other man when she missed her period, but it was Muhammad who discovered the message, snooping through her phone while she slept. The text wasn't vague. It confirmed intimacy and suspicion. According to him, it felt like a sledgehammer to the chest. She was cheating, and the man he thought was her cousin was the one in bed with her. And not just once, repeatedly. He remembered how she changed, got distant, and stopped sleeping with him. It was all there, he said, plain as day in her behavior.
Take me to the moment you find out you're pregnant.
The moment I thought that I was pregnant, I text the guy and I tell him I missed my period. Mr. Muhammad.
The timeline of conception was the next battlefield. Mr. Muhammad claimed it happened on February 21st in his mother's bathroom, no less. He even remembered the sink. Walton, meanwhile, claimed she got pregnant on February 4th, right after celebrating their older daughter's first birthday. But the math didn't favor either one definitively. She had slept with both men in that window, sometimes back to back. And the doctors dating? It landed her about 8 weeks along when she saw them, circling right back to early February. There was no safe alibi. No man had exclusive rights to that week.
I know the date. The date was February 21st in my mama's house, in the bathroom. We was in the mood. She was in the mood. She go to the bathroom. I go to the bathroom after. That's the date that we have.
Walton didn't deny the affairs anymore. She explained how she coordinated her double life with stunning frankness. While Muhammad believed she was working late, she was off with the other man, sneaking into hotel rooms and carrying on a relationship he didn't know about. But Muhammad had something she didn't, a deep conviction. He still believed Brooklyn looked like him. He pointed to their older daughter and said they looked like twins. Same eyes, same energy.
And then that took you back to the window of time right around February 5th?
Yes.
Which is when you were having sex?
With both of them.
Or
yes.
with both of them?
Yes.
Yet, when pushed, Walton revealed a deeper motive. She admitted wanting to be with the other man, even though he was married. Her eyes didn't blink. She had already told him she was pregnant. She hoped the baby would give them a future together. Mr. Muhammad, in contrast, hadn't even been told directly. He'd learned from family, heard whispers, and pieced it together while raising a child who might not even be his. It wasn't just infidelity anymore, it was a whole deception, and it felt strategic, painfully so.
My oldest daughter, Brooklyn looks like my oldest daughter. If you look at them two girls right there, that's alike. That's my first daughter right there. She 4.
The question of paternity wasn't just one of biology, it had become a power struggle. Mr. Muhammad claimed the child bore his name because she was his. Walton admitted she gave Brooklyn that last name to avoid schoolyard teasing. 2 kids, 2 fathers, 2 names, it was too much. But in her heart, she said, Brooklyn belonged to the other man, not because of love, but because of support. He was more stable and more responsible. He would take care of Brooklyn in ways Muhammad never did, and that, she insisted, was worth more than DNA.
Make that baby belong to this man. That I don't even know this man.
Have you started that relationship?
No.
Ain't gonna work.
No.
Ain't gonna
Well,
work.
why?
By the end, the courtroom held its breath. Judge Lauren asked for the envelope. The audience was hushed. Even Muhammad, who had raged, pleaded, and wept through his testimony, fell silent. There it was, the manila envelope holding the answer that could redraw Brooklyn's life story. Judge Lauren took it from Jerome. She cleared her throat and began to read.
When it comes to 2-year-old Brooklyn Muhammad, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Muhammad, you are the father.
Yes.
Mr. Webb, you have been waiting 2 years for this day. You claim the defendant, Mrs. Forrest, left you for dead only to find out once you got out of a coma.
He had waited 2 years for this moment, 2 long years filled with aching uncertainty, haunting dreams, and the sharp pang of a child's smile he'd never seen in person. Travis Webb stood in the courtroom, rigid, wounded, and determined. Before a tragic accident left him on life support, he had been in a passionate, all-consuming relationship with Amanda Forrest. When he woke up, she was gone, and pregnant. The math was messy. The emotions are even messier. Now, at last, the truth was within reach.
My intentions are to fight for custody rights if she is my daughter.
Well, that's my daughter.
Amanda Forrest stood just feet away as Travis recounted what he believed to be betrayal. When he was on the edge of death, Amanda had vanished, only to be seen days later, moved into a motel with her husband. His mother handed him a letter, a statement outlining what happened. Later, Amanda would call and admit there was a possibility that Elena was his. Possibility, not certainty, not closure.
Miss Forrest, let me just ask you point blank. Were you sleeping with anyone else besides Mr. Webb and your husband?
No, Your Honor.
Not during that time.
Amanda denied sleeping with anyone else, just Travis, just her husband. That was her line, and she stuck to it. Still, questions kept circling. Why, if she was so certain Mr. Forrest was the father, had she called Travis after he left the hospital? Why notify his family of the birth if there was no lingering doubt? Her answer was simple, just in case. But just in case wasn't good enough for a man who had missed 2 years of his daughter's life. And it certainly wasn't good enough for a courtroom judge watching this emotional storm unfold. The timeline was razor thin.
So, Mr. Webb, how did you find out she was pregnant?
She had called me the day that I got out of the hospital.
Amanda claimed she conceived between August 26th and August 31st, 2012, right after Travis was hospitalized. But Travis insisted they were together on August 25th. She admitted it too. One night, one slip, and in cases like this, one night can change everything. Still, she insisted that Mr. Forrest was the father because that was who she had been with after that window.
Okay.
And then you take it back 9 months later. That takes it to the week of August 26th through August 31st.
August 26th through August 31st, you were sleeping with your...
Just my husband.
The thing about it, Your Honor, is
For Travis, it wasn't just about biology, it was about connection. He'd tried, he'd begged, he'd driven hundreds of miles and spent his last dollars on gas, only to be met with silence or changed phone numbers. Amanda admitted to blocking him. She said she feared he would take Elena away. But even Judge Lake couldn't ignore the contradiction. If Amanda was so sure Travis wasn't the father, what was she so afraid of?
So you got news that the baby was born. You didn't hear from Miss Forrest herself.
no, Your Honor, not at first.
You heard through your family.
Yes, Your Honor.
I messaged his mother on Facebook and told her what hospital I was going to be at.
Mr. Forrest stood firm. He claimed Travis hadn't been there. Travis didn't care. Travis didn't deserve custody, but Travis sobbed openly in court, revealing 2 years of pain, 2 years of missed birthdays, missed first steps, and the torment of a child he might never hold, despite the real possibility of being the father.
We have set up dates plenty of times.
They have all been under his terms where he wanted to go.
I have drove from Illinois whenever she told me that I could meet Elena. I spent the last $80 I had to put in gas.
So-
she had backed out, changed her phone number.
Judge Lake challenged Amanda directly. Why not let Travis see Elena if there was even the slightest chance she was his? Amanda offered vague explanations about safety, location, and discomfort, but the reality was written all over her husband's face. This was about control. Meanwhile, Travis described creating fake Facebook accounts just to see a photo of the child he believed was his. And still, Amanda and Mr. Forrest doubled down.
No, I have never
therefore,
said that, Your Honor.
he ain't there for 2
I have
years.
been in tears for the last 2 years trying to meet my daughter, and she has never let me once
When I
talk to
called-
her or see her.
When I talked to
have
him, we
had
told him
to
I was
create
pregnant.
Mr. Forrest stood beside Amanda, trying to project certainty, but it cracked. When questioned, he admitted he might not be Elena's biological father. He'd been raising her, sure. She called him daddy. But that word, warm and innocent from a child's lips, couldn't change DNA, no matter how much he wants to believe it.
And he told me that if I don't let him see her, he's gonna take her to court or take me to court and he's gonna take her away from me. There's no way that he is getting my daughter.
The arguments had been made, the denials had been spoken. Everyone was exhausted, but no one was ready to admit defeat. There's a child completely unaware of the storm swirling around her identity. Judge Lake called for the results. 2 years of unanswered questions, accusations, and heartache led to a single sheet of paper.
Or Mr. Forrest, it has been determined by this court that her biological father is Mr. To your on again, off again boyfriend, Mr. Porter, that your 3-year-old son, Kylan, is his biological child.
The courtroom was heavy with anticipation as Solisha King stepped forward, determined to prove what she believed was undeniable, that her 3-year-old son, Kylan, belonged to George Porter. She insisted she was 100% sure George was the father, the only man she had been with, at least the only one who counted.
The reason why I want him to, the reason why he is the father of my son is because I just know that he's the father.
George Porter, however, didn't share that certainty. He had longed for children his entire life, yet was convinced he couldn't have any. Diagnosed as a child with a severe case of lead poisoning, among the worst ever recorded in New York, he believed it had rendered him infertile. That belief, backed by his research, planted deep doubt that never left him. His denial wasn't rooted in rejection, but in fear. Fear that biology had made fatherhood impossible for him.
If I'm the father. When we was together, we was, had our problems off and on. And when we broke up, I went back to New York. And I was dating someone else at the time. And then when we came back down here from New York,
the testimonies began with a lie, one Solisha now openly admitted. After their relationship had ended and George moved back to New York, she told him she was pregnant, but she wasn't, not yet. At the time, she simply didn't want to lose him. She hoped the lie might keep their bond intact, and it did, temporarily. Only weeks later did Solisha truly become pregnant, and by then, she believed the lie had become real.
When you break up, you say you go back to New York.
yes, Your Honor.
When you go to New York, you get a new girlfriend.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then what happens when you find out you're pregnant, Miss King?
But real to her didn't mean real to him. George started noticing inconsistencies and lies. The pregnancy timeline didn't add up. He questioned how she could announce her pregnancy so early and then only test positive weeks later. He felt confused, manipulated, and toyed with. And once doubt set in, it refused to leave.
That is not the case. The case is the fact that when we first started dating, I just knew that I wanted to be with him. He was the genuine type. When I seen him with someone else, it's just like, that's supposed to be us, that's not supposed to be y'all. So I told him I was pregnant.
The courtroom tension intensified when George presented damning evidence, text messages from the day Kylan was born. As Solisha lay in the hospital, her phone buzzed with messages from another man. George had read those messages with disbelief. Solisha claimed it was a joke, but for George, it confirmed everything he feared: deception, confusion, and paternity in question.
No, George was the only person that was sleeping around the time that I got pregnant.
The whole time, when she was pregnant, in the hospital, giving birth to her.
Despite the accusations, Solisha clung to what she saw as proof: Kylan's height. She brought a self-made height chart into court, noting that Kylan was short like her and George. She argued that genetics didn't lie, but Judge Lauren Lake was unimpressed. Height, she reminded them, was hardly conclusive. A short child didn't prove paternity, yet Solisha was adamant.
As you can see, the average male is actually 5'9". George is 5'2". Each time that I take my son to the doctor to get his wellness checks,
George, however, leaned on science. He'd found an article noting that up to 20% of unexplained male infertility cases could be linked to childhood lead exposure. He brought it to court, highlighting his belief that the poisoning had permanently damaged his reproductive system. It was why he had doubts he couldn't shake, even as his heart pulled him toward Kaylin. He desperately wanted to be the boy's father, but only if it were true.
And I presented it to the court. When I was a child, I was diagnosed with the second highest case of lead poisoning in the state of New York.
Really?
Right. And I'm 26 right now, and
Judge Lake called in a medical expert, Dr. Samantha Brown Parks, to clarify the potential link between George's lead poisoning and infertility. Her explanation was both revealing and cautious. While the exposure might have damaged George's reproductive development as a child, there was still a chance he could conceive. The damage wasn't necessarily absolute. It was possible, not probable.
It wouldn't affect the sperm shape or mobility, but because you're developing as a child and that
The final moments were thick with silence. George admitted that despite his suspicions, he saw something in Kaylin, something that made him feel like a father every time the boy smiled. Still, he needed the truth. The judge reached for the envelope and carefully opened the flap. The room held its breath as she pulled out the paper inside. The emotional storm that had spun for years was about to hit its peak.
3-year-old Kylan Porter. It has been determined by this court. Mr. Porter, you are the father. Mr. Cooper, you admit to a brief sexual fling with the defendant, but state there is no way you fathered her 2-year-old son, Jaden. You opened your case because you claim Ms. Canterbury threatened.
From the moment Anthony Cooper stepped into the courtroom, his swagger was thick with defiance. He wasn't here to play dad, not unless he had to. He claimed his short fling with Shauna Canterbury had nothing to do with her 2-year-old son, Jaden. According to him, their time together was fleeting, casual, and carefully protected.
And some people be good men and get criticized, and then they be sitting here, then all they want is just the money from them, and it ain't gonna be me today.
And you're convinced that Jaden's not your biological child.
Their story began on a night out with mutual friends. They linked, as Anthony described it, and from there, they ended up in bed, 3 or 4 times in total, depending on who you believed. Shauna said those encounters were significant. Anthony said they were forgettable and protected.
She was with her people, I was with mine. It's like we just linked. I seen her some years later. She already got a reputation for being loose. Come on now, ain't nobody got time for this.
Okay, but you didn't even know me though, so how would you know
Right.
that?
But when Shauna found out she was pregnant, she said she messaged him right away, and then he blocked her. He denied that too, saying he found out about her pregnancy like everybody else, on social media. One day, while scrolling, he saw the bump. He liked the picture but said nothing, and neither did she.
Missed my period for a whole month, so me and my mom took a test together, and it turned out I was pregnant.
Okay.
So
The real shock came after Jaden was born. Anthony got a call from his mom. Some girl had just shown up at the house with a baby. Shauna was gone when he arrived, and his mother was cradling Jaden like her own. That moment flipped everything. His mother believed the boy was his, and Anthony didn't know how to walk that back. Even with doubts, he felt obligated to stay involved, just in case.
That's how I felt. I'm like, man, you got me messed up. I ain't got no kids.
And that is the first time you've ever heard about Jaden. Your mom calls you and says it's a girl over here with a baby.
Man, get over here.
Shauna insisted she had no hidden agenda. She didn't drop Jaden off to manipulate anyone. Her story was simple. Jaden looked just like Anthony. She also admitted, eventually, that there had been one other man, but she insisted the dates pointed to Anthony, not the other guy. She knew who she'd been with and when. Her memory of August, their night together, was firm in her mind.
If you had a baby and you thought a man was your potential baby father, once you let him know whether he is or he not, you would say something and you would let him know, it's a potential, you could be.
Anthony, meanwhile, brought a calendar to court. He swore the dates didn't match up. According to him, their encounters began in September. He detailed each moment, even a drunken threesome where he claimed to have used protection. The third time? Maybe not. He slipped, he said. Too many drinks, no condom. But still, he claimed it was too late to line up with Jaden's May birth.
We had sex. I wore a condom.
Nope.
Second time we had sex was this week through the 28th. And I remember it was threesome. We was all...
Judge Lauren Lake watched it all unfold with increasing scrutiny. She pulled out the conception calculator and did the math herself. Jaden's birth date? May 27, 2016. That meant the likely conception window fell between August 30th and September 6th, notably right on the edge of both their claims. The overlap was undeniable.
2000 what?
16.
16. Jaden was born. Let me get that date in. Got it. If we hit calculate, the conception window.
The courtroom turned to emotional stakes. Shauna talked about her current boyfriend, Casey, and how he'd stepped up since Jaden was a baby. He provided, loved, and supported Jaden like his own. He was the only dad Jaden knew. Anthony, in contrast, admitted he hadn't been there, but his reason? His mom. She loved that boy, and Anthony didn't want to hurt her by backing out. Still, deep down, he wanted answers, if only to stop living in limbo. Shauna, too, wanted clarity. If Anthony was the father, she wanted him to own it.
Who's been Jaden's father
My
figure?
boyfriend, Casey.
So your boyfriend has had to step up and be a father figure to Jaden?
Yes, we've been together since before Jaden was 1 year old.
And find out he did. The tension in the room could be sliced with a whisper. Anthony, cocky just minutes earlier, now stood visibly tense. Shauna, holding on to her truth, looked calm but tired. Judge Lake called for the envelope. This wasn't just about two people anymore. A 2-year-old boy's identity was waiting inside that folded paper.
It comes to 2-year-old Jaden Canterbury. It has been determined by this court. Mr. Cooper, you are the father.
Like I said,
after your last appearance in this courtroom, you confess you walked away devastated upon finding out you were not the biological father of the defendant's son.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now you say that
Judge Lauren Lake's gaze flicked over familiar faces, especially Tom Zara, seated stiffly and barely concealing the bitterness beneath his calm. Just weeks prior, he'd stood in the same room, shattered by the discovery that the son he'd raised wasn't his. Now he was back. His heart, already fractured, clung to one desperate question. Was baby Ariella truly his daughter, or yet another betrayal?
Mr. Zara, tell me about the doubts concerning Ms. Nato's daughter.
Well, one, she's like a whore, Your Honor, and...
Let's use respectful language, so you believe she's...
Kayla Nadeau, the children's mother, stood poised but visibly defensive, her expression hardening with every word Tom uttered. She'd already endured one very public reckoning, learning in front of a courtroom that Tom's best friend had fathered her son. She swore that during the time she conceived Ariella, she was only with Tom. Yes, she admitted to having a past with Tyler McCaffrey, but that was old news, she said. Their encounters were over long before Ariella came to be.
So, Mr. McCaffrey, were you intimate with Ms. Nato?
Yes, Your Honor.
You were?
Yes.
Without protection?
Yes.
This was before my 2-year-old was conceived, never mind my daughter.
And so
Tom's suspicions were so strong that she brought in a surprise witness, Amarino Amaral. Amaral claimed to have seen Kayla and McCaffrey together during the critical time frame. Though he couldn't swear to what went on behind closed doors, he was certain of their closeness, an intimacy that reeked of dishonesty in Tom's mind.
It's our understanding from testimony that Mr. Zara believes Ms. Nato and Mr. McCaffrey were sleeping together during the window of conception.
Yes, Your Honor.
As tensions rose, another familiar face entered the fray, Santilli, the very man revealed to be the biological father of Kayla's son in the previous case. Once Tom's best friend, now a constant reminder of betrayal. His testimony only twisted the knife deeper. He confirmed that Kayla was also involved with McCaffrey in that same friends with benefits arrangement.
Now, Mr. Santilli, you were here before.
Yes.
And you are the gentleman that ended up being her child's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you are best friends with Mr. Zara.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, best friends, that's something.
Tom's mistrust had been calcified by humiliation. Learning that his best friend was the father of his supposed son wasn't just a blow to his pride, it was devastating to his identity. He'd loved that child. But now, with another child in the picture, and more whispers trailing behind the woman he once called his partner, the walls he'd tried to rebuild were under siege again. The resemblance between Ariella and the previous child haunted him.
Caffrey,
Yes, Your Honor.
you hear this testimony?
Yes.
You admit you were intimate with Ms. Nato?
Yes.
And what was the nature of the relationship at the time?
It was just friends with benefits. We'd hang out, party.
Kayla's fury ignited. She challenged the courtroom, demanding evidence, not rumors. Her voice grew louder with every accusation, drowning in emotion and frustration. She was tired of being dragged through the mud based on hearsay. Yet Judge Lake's patience was waning. The judge reminded everyone that doubt doesn't need eyewitness footage, not when prior deception has already shattered trust.
Ariella's.
Baby Ariella's. And you believe they're similar?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, the two witnesses, thank you so much for your testimony. You may have a seat.
Tom wasn't done. In a final move to underscore his uncertainty, he submitted a handwritten list, 6 names, of other men he'd been told might have slept with Kayla during the window of conception. It was a crude tally of whispered rumors built from hearsay and instinct. Kayla scoffed. She called it character assassination. Tom called it his truth. To him, it didn't matter if the stories were concrete. They confirmed a pattern, one that placed Ariella's paternity in serious doubt.
Caffrey.
Do you have first-hand knowledge of any of this?
Not necessarily.
So you got some videotapes,
not a videotape or
some...
anything like that, but just like this last situation that I had a hunch on.
You just got a bunch of rumors, a bunch of people telling you something.
To settle it once and for all, Tom requested the lie detector test results. Judge Lake obliged. Kayla was asked one searing question. Were there any other possible fathers of baby Ariella beyond the 2 men already tested, Tom and Tyler? Her answer was short, no. The results, held tightly in the judge's hands, revealed she was telling the truth. The courtroom exhaled. Now it came down to just 2 names, Zara or McCaffrey. One of them was Ariella's father, but which one?
Miss Nato, you believe I will find out. Were you truthful?
Yes.
Anything else for the record you feel like you may have left out of your testimony?
No.
No? Okay.
The courtroom hushed as Judge Lake motioned for Jerome. The envelope containing the DNA results was placed in her hands. This moment would either free Tom from doubt or tether him forever to a truth he wasn't ready for. Tom held his breath, and McCaffrey clinched the podium. Judge Lake's voice cut through the silence.
As to whether Mr. Zara or Mr. McCaffrey is her biological father, it has been determined by this court that her father is Mr. Zara. Mr. and Mrs. Knowles, you previously appeared in court with the defendant for a paternity case involving another child. You're back today because this love triangle has led you.
The courtroom was tense when Mr. and Mrs. Knowles stepped inside. This wasn't their first time here. Just months ago, they had faced off against the same man, Mr. Lindsley, in a separate paternity dispute. But this time, the stakes were even higher. At the center of today's storm was a newborn, Tyler Jr., just 3 months old.
When I said, who did you tell when you found out you were pregnant, I heard 2.
No, I told Mr. Knowles because he was in the room with me.
I was in the hospital room.
Okay, did you later tell Mr. Lindsley?
The origins of the child's conception weren't clear-cut. According to Mrs. Knowles, she reunited with her husband around March 22nd and has lived with him ever since. But Mr. Lindsley provided hard proof. A calendar detailing dates he claimed showed Mrs. Knowles still living under his roof through April.
According to what I have calculated up and with the evidence that I have here, she was either sleeping with both of us or sleeping with me, living at my house during the time that she would have conceived.
Mrs. Knowles didn't back down. She insisted the relationship with Mr. Lindsley had ended by mid-March and that she had been intimate only with her husband. She referenced Facebook photos, timestamps, and her memory of when the relationship changed. She even dismissed claims that she sent texts suggesting the baby might belong to Lindsley.
Me and my other kids and Mr. Knowles in our house in the later month of March. Back from like March 22nd.
On my Facebook page where
the courtroom air grew thicker with each accusation. Mr. Knowles, standing quietly for much of the exchange, finally erupted in frustration. His voice cracked as he insisted Tyler Jr. was his son. He said anyone could see it. The same eyes and hairline. This wasn't just about biology. It was about saving a fragile family from falling apart again.
And I left.
So, Mr. Knowles, you are still struggling with this issue with Mr. Lindsley insisting that he fathered your wife's child.
Yes.
Mr. Lindsley, however, seemed unmoved. He argued that Mrs. Knowles had a pattern of back-and-forth behavior and questioned her credibility. He claimed she would text him suggestively from random numbers and reach out under the radar even while denying contact. Mrs. Knowles dismissed these claims as fabrications.
I really don't know why she changes her mind every 2 months.
Why do you say every 2 months?
We'll quit talking for a month and a half here and there, and then next I know, I'll get a message from a random number talking about, hi.
The judge's patience began to wear thin as the contradictory timelines piled up. Even seemingly small details, school enrollment dates, Facebook photos, furniture locations, were pulled into the pool of confusion. But the timeline remained crucial. Who she was with during late March and early April could mean the difference between two men's futures with one child.
And I tried to make it work because I was happy there for a while. But then stuff started to go downhill and I couldn't take it anymore. We kept fighting over stuff. I seen stuff I didn't like.
Still, amidst all the noise, one moment stood out. When asked about the baby's name, Mrs. Knowles confirmed she named him after her husband, Tyler Jr., but Mr. Lindsley remembered being told a different name entirely when the baby was born. However, he somehow forgot the said name. Whether it was a lie or a mistake didn't matter much now.
Jerome, didn't I say this was a love triangle? Okay.
It was,
and then you disagreed.
No, it was there for a while, Your Honor.
Yes.
But
Let me tell you something.
Yes,
This is
there for a
exactly
while,
what this is. If you look up love triangle, the dictionary.
Now visibly skeptical, the judge pressed both sides to acknowledge the tangled love triangle that had brought them to this point. All parties reluctantly agreed. Mrs. Knowles admitted to trying to make things work with both men during overlapping periods. Mr. Lindsley insisted he was in the dark about her marriage for nearly a year. Mr. Knowles listened in quiet disbelief, clearly wounded but resolute. No matter what the results said, the emotional damage had already been done.
Mr. Lindsley, after Tyler was born, did you have a chance to see him? Did you hear
I've not seen him in person, no, but I have received pictures of.
Judge Lake made each party commit to a course of action depending on the outcome. If Mr. Lindsley was the father, he would be allowed to see the child. If he was not, he had to walk away and never contact the Knowles family again. Both sides agreed. Now, it's time for the DNA results. The courtroom fell into silence as the judge reached for the sealed envelope.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Knowles.